Hare
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीशुक उवाच एवं पुरधारणयात्मयोने नष्टां स्मृतिं प्रत्यवरुध्य तुष्टात् तथा ससाजेतमोघदृष्टिर्यथाप्ययात् प्राग्व्यवसाय बुद्धिः।
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before.
शब्दस्य हि ब्राह्मणेश पन्था यन्नामभिर्ध्यायति धीरपार्थः परिभ्रामांस्तत्र न विन्दते अर्थान् मायामये वासनयाश्रयणाः।
The way of presentation of the Vedic sounds is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of the people to meaningless things like the heavenly kingdoms. The conditioned souls hover in the dreams of such heavenly illusory pleasures, but actually they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places.
अतः कविर्नामसूयावदर्थः स्यादप्रमत्तो व्यवसायबुद्धिः सिद्धे यथार्थे नयते तत्र परिश्रमां तत्र समीक्षमानः।
For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of names. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing.
सत्यां श्रितौ किं कशिपो प्रयासैर्बाहो स्वसिद्धेयुपबर्हन्ने किं सत्याञ्जलौ किं पुरुधन्नपात्र्य दिग्वल्कलादौ सति किं दुकूलैः।
When there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of the varieties of utensils? When there is ample covering or skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing?
चिराणि किं पथि न सन्ति दिशन्ति भिक्षां नैवाङ्घ्रिपा परभृतसरितोऽप्यशुष्यन् रुद्धा गुहा किमजितो वतिनुपसन्नान् कस्माद् भजन्ति कवयो धनदुर्मदन्धान्।
Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in the charity? The rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains not closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth?
एवं स्वचित्ते स्वत एव सिद्धा आत्मा प्रियोऽर्थभगवानन्तः तं निवृत्तो नियतार्थो भजता संसारहेतु परमश्चत यत्र।
Thus being fixed, one must render service unto the Supersoul, situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency. because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and by worshipping him, one can end the cause of conditioned state of existence.
Kastam त्वनादृत्य paranuchintam rite pashun asatim nama kuryat pashyan janam patitam vetaranyam swakarmajan paritapan jusanam.
Who else but the gross materialists will neglect such transcendental thought and take to the non-permanent names only, seeing the mass of people fallen in the river of suffering as the consequence of occurring result of their own work?
Kechit swadehantar hridaya akashe pradeshamatram purusham vasantam chaturbhujam kanjarathanga shankha गदाधरं धारणाय स्मरन्ति.
Or others conceive the personality of Godhead residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches, with 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a conch shell, and a club respectively.
प्रसन्नवक्त्रं नलिनायते क्षणं कदम्बकिञ्जल्कपिशङ्कवाससं लसन्महारत्नहिरण्मयान् गदं स्फुरन्महारत्नकिरीटकुण्डलम्.
His mouth expresses his happiness, his eyes spread like the petals of a lotus, his garments yellowish like the saffron of a kadamba flower, are bedecked with valuable jewels. His ornaments are all made of gold, set with jewels, and he wears a glowing headdress and earrings.
उन्निद्रहित पङ्कजकर्णिकालये योगेश्वरस्थापितपादपल्लवम् श्रीलक्षणं कौस्तुभा रत्नकन्धरम् अम्लानलक्ष्म्या वनमालयाचितम्.
His lotus feet are placed over the walls of lotus-like hearts of great mystics. On his chest is the Kaustubha jewel engraved with a beautiful calf, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. His complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers.
विभूषितमेखलयाङ्गुलीयकैर् महाधनेर्नूपुराकङ्कणादिभिः स्निग्धामलाकुञ्चितनीलकुन्तलैर्विरोचमानाननहासपेशलम्.
He is well decorated with an ornamental wreath about his waist, and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. His leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair, curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing.
दीनलीलहसिते क्षणो लसद् भ्रुभङ्गसंसूचितभूर्यनुग्रहम् ईक्षेत चिन्तामयमेनमीश्वरम् यावन्मनोधारणयावतिष्ठते.
He is the Lord's mag- mag- the Lord's magnanimous pastimes and the glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord, as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation.
एकैकशोऽन्गनी धियानुभावयेत् पादादियावद्धसितां गदाभृतः चितं जितं स्थानमपोह्य धारयेत् परं परं शुध्यति धीर्यथा यथा.
The process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way, higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon different parts of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified.
यावन्न जयते परावरेऽस्मिन् विश्वेश्वरे द्रष्टरि भक्तियोगः तावत् स्थवीय पुरुषस्य रूपं क्रियावसाने प्रयतः स्मरेत.
Unless the gross materialist develops a sense of loving service unto the Supreme Lord, the seer of both the transcendental and material worlds, he should remember or meditate upon the universal form of the Lord and the end of his prescribed duties.
स्थिरं सुखं च सनम् आस्थितो यतिर् यदा जिहासुरमङ्गलोकम् काले च देशे च मनो न सज्जयेत् प्राणान्यच्छेन्मनसा जितासुः.
O king, whenever the yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life affair, should control the senses by the mind.
मनः स्वबुद्ध्या मलया नियम्य क्षेत्रज्ञ एतां निनयेत्तम् आत्मनि आत्मानम् आत्मनमन्यवरुध्य धीरो लब्धोपशान्ति विरमितकृत्यात्.
Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity, and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme stage of satisfaction, so that he ceases from all other activities.
न यत्र कालो निमिषां प्रभुः कुतो नु देवा जगतां ईशिरे न यत्र सत्त्वं न रजस्तमश्च न वै विकारो न महान् प्रधानम्.
In that transcendental state of Labdhopashanti, there is no supremacy of devastating time, which controls even the celestial demigods, who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. And what to speak of the demigods themselves? Nor is there the mode of material goodness, nor passion, nor ignorance, nor even the false ego, nor the material causal ocean, nor the material nature.
परं पदं वैष्णवमामनन्ति तद् यन्नेति नेतीत्यतद् उद्सि शिक्षवः विसृज्य दौरात्म्यम् अनन्यसौहृदा हृदोपगुह्यार्हा पदं पदे पदे.
The transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. There is therefore a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but he worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them to his heart.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive us for all our mistakes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Such beautiful recitations where both the girls absolutely wonderful. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I hope you're having a good Ekadashi day today. So today we are going to discuss verses 13 and 14 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, The Lord in the Heart. So before doing that, I would like to just quickly do the introduction into the prayers, please. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Devacha Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna. So just a quick recap of just to get into the context of what we're going to discuss today. So obviously the first canto was all about creation. Now this canto we are reading about the manifestation of the whole cosmos. And we did the first chapter, which was the first step in God realization. How does this materialistic person, we're engrossed in how much we're engrossed in sense gratification, and how we spend all the time in doing mundane activities, and the night we just go and sleep and sex indulgence, and in the morning time just earn money for the family, and then you develop the attachment. So if you know that the highest perfection of human life is to remember, the God, the personality of Godhead, and that you need to go back to Godhead, then you will start actually waking up. To such time you don't realize that, you will be just in this mundane activity. So over there, what happens is then how Sukadeva Goswami is trying to tell to Maharaj Parikshit that ways of how to be closer to God and how to meditate on God. And also in between, he mentions about not to be afraid of death, and you have to cut out all the attachment, but that doesn't come easy. It comes only after you do certain activities regularly. And if you do that every day, then even at the time of death, then even if you don't do, Krishna will come and help you out. So sorry, video, somebody's saying about the video. Is that okay? Thank you. So he describes about the breathing regulation and how to do Om, and how we can control mind through that practice of meditation. And then once the mind becomes really spiritualized, then you start withdrawing from senses, and slowly you will start meditating on the transcendental form of Vishnu. So he asks us to do first, concentrating on the limbs of Vishnu. And by being in the habit of seeing this, the body parts of the God, then you will see all the good things in the God, and slowly you will attain your attachment to the Lord and a devotional service to the Lord under his direct shelter. So over here again, Sukadeva Goswami also tries to say that how all the conditioned souls always think about all these dreamy things. They want to be in the heavenly kingdoms, and they want luxury. They want all, sort of unnatural happiness, and which is not what you want. You will be stuck in materialistic world, where even the heavenly kingdoms are also in this materialistic world. So here, Sukadeva Goswami tries to say that you have to. The main thing is to endeavor is to remove all these attachments in life, and we have to render service to the Lord. Now, people who have really gross materialistic thoughts, will neglect, won't even think about going towards God, and they are the ones who will be suffering, and he'll be stuck in this materialistic world. Whereas some people who conceive that yes, there is a God there, and the God is present in the body, in your heart, is about nearly 8 inches. With this, if you measure from your thumb to the ring finger, is almost 8 inches. And then how Sukadeva Goswami tries to describe the form of the Lord, and says that his mouth is expressive, very expressive, is smiling, and his eyes are like lotus. His garments are yellow, and then he has jewels on him. His lotus feet are beautifully placed on the hearts, lotus-like hearts of great mystics, he says. He's got a Kaustuba jewel on his chest. And then he goes on to say that, describe the whole form of the Lord. And then tries to say that the God is always smiling, and he's got such mercy that he will extend his mercy towards you if you start thinking about him. So we should start concentrating on this transcendental form of the Lord. And there are so many other forms, similar, about maybe 24 forms of the personalities of Godhead, the localized form of the God. And they all have come from the four expansions of the Krishna. So just name them quickly. So Vasudeva is the first. From Vasudeva comes Keshava, Narayana, and Madhava. From Sankarshana comes Govinda, not the Gokula Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana. Then from Pradyumna comes Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara. From Aniruddha comes Rishikesha, Padmanabha, Damodara. So these are like the 12 ones which have come from the Chaturvyuha expansions. Then we have some additional expansions which come from Vasudeva. It is Adhokshaja and Purushottama. And from Sankarshana, Upendra and Achyuta. From Pradyumna, Narasimha, Janardana. And from Aniruddha, Hari and Krishna. So these forms, they are these 24 forms are the ones which you can meditate on, and that your attachment to the Lord. So now, if we can go to the first verse, I think it'll be nice if somebody can. Is anybody okay? I can just read, otherwise it's okay. So, can anybody share the first verse, Mataji, 13th verse or something? Is that okay? It's all right, then I'll read it, no worries. एकैकशो ज्ञानी धियानुभावयेत् पादादियावदसितं गदाभृतः जितं जितं स्थानमपोय धारयेत् पराशुद्ध्य धीर्यथा यथा. So The translation of this is, the process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified. So basically, if you just go a bit more one verse before, over there, it actually, they try to tell you that how the form of the Lord, which is formless and form. So we have the impersonalists who don't even believe in the form. They think like, no, how can Lord have a normal human form? So they will not be able to concentrate on the form of the Lord, and whereas they would like so obviously Prabhupada tries to say that there's no point in meditating on a empty space, because you should have something to concentrate on. So he asked for those people to concentrate on the Virata Rupa. Virata Rupa is like unending. You don't know where it starts and where it ends. So for them, that would be an easy way of actually concentrating. So you have for them to concentrate on the limbs of the Lord, and then slowly, then once they get attachment to the forms of the Lord, then slowly they can transform, and then they can come to the devotion side. But for a devotee, they can concentrate on the Satchit Ananda Rupa of the Lord. So Sat is eternal love, Chit is obviously your consciousness, and Ananda is forever happiness. So over here, then again, how do we concentrate? How do we meditate? That's the main thing over here. So Sukadeva Goswami is teaching the ways of meditation to Maharaja Parikshit and to the rest of the world. So normally for a devotee, the best meditation would be like Bhakti Yoga, and the process of devotional service is the best because it can liberate us from this material world. And for people who are in who would like to go through the Gnana Yoga, for them, obviously they'll have to come out of all these materialistic attachments, and then they can process to the Bhakti Yoga. And specifically, Srila Prabhupada says that you have to come out of your anarthas. This is very important to focus on the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is the only place you have to start off with. You can't go beyond that, because as long as you have anarthas, you can't even progress. And the main anartha, which he really tells very with strong, bold letters, is that which keeps us in the materialistic world, is the sex desire. Because of the sex desire, they end up having families and then children and wealth and attachment, and you're stuck in this materialistic world. So you have to reduce that desire. So by concentrating on the feet of the Lord regularly, then slowly this materialistic desire gradually evaporates. And once this evaporates, then obviously you will start having attachment to the Lord. And by the grace of Lord, that you will have some intelligence, and then slowly you will start becoming renunciated. Whereas for people who are quite for transcendentalists, they don't need to do all this. They can straight away go and meditate on the Lord's feet, and there's a process of how you meditate on the Lord's feet. So it goes from the feet onwards, upwards. But for us, we have to do it very, very gradually till all the anathas. So basically, till all the detachments. You should have all the materialistic attachments you have. Till such time you don't have any attachments, you can't progress basically from the lotus feet of the Lord. This also is similar, like how again Srila Prabhupada tries to say over here, is that similarly the Bhagavatam, like people try to rush and read the 10th canto, whereas Bhagavatam is actually again It is similar. It is a Granthavatara of Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And it is the book incarnation of Lord Krishna, narrating the pastimes, of his various avatars. So when Krishna left this world, he's returned in this form of Bhagavatam to obviously to show us some light and direct us in this Kali Yuga. So in that, all the cantos depict a part of the body, the limbs of the Lord Krishna. So it's written in Padma Purana, so there is evidence over there. I'll just quickly read that. Padau yadiyau prathama dvitiyau tritiya turyau kati tau yaduru nabhistatha panchama eva shashto Bhujantaram doryugalam tathanyau kanthasturajan yadiyo mukharavindam dashama prabhullam ekatasho yasya lalatapattam shiropitu dvadasha eva bhatti tam adidevam karunanidhanam Tamalavarnam suhitavataram apara samsara samudra setum bhajamahe bhagavata swarupam. So the translation goes, so the translation is the first and the second cantos of the Bhagavatam are Sri Krishna's lotus feet. And then you have the third and the fourth cantos are his thighs. The fifth canto is his navel. The sixth canto is his chest. The seventh and eighth cantos are his arms. The ninth canto is his throat. The 10th canto is his beautiful lotus face. The 11th canto is his forehead. And the 12th canto is his head. So similarly, we have to view the deity of Krishna in the temple. So we are advised to begin meditating at his lotus feet. And as we say, we have to remove all anarthas, then only we can progress up. Then gradually you go to his lotus face. So to go to his lotus face, imagine you have to really go through all, you have to just get rid of all your anarthas. Then only you can go to his lotus face, because in his lotus face is the most confidential knowledge over there of his Rasa Leela, which you will not be able to appreciate if you have attachment for your materialistic desires, because you will misinterpret. So that is why all our acharyas tell us not to jump into the 10th canto, because people want all the juicy part of the Bhagavatam. They want that to be seen first, because that is where the mind goes. So it should not be seen in that way. So it should be seen in a transcendental way. So because Bhagavatam is, and Bhagavatam is not a book itself, it is Krishna himself. So because it is not different, we have to study it step by step, from the first canto till the last. And this is what Srila Prabhupada, he emphasizes. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously, and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. So it should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. So he really very strongly actually tells over here that if you cannot give up your sexual desire, you should not be going above the feet of the lotus feet of the Lord. So I'm just thinking, do we have okay, Mataji, can somebody read the purport? Is that okay?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Am I showing the correct verse?
13 verse, yeah?
13, verse 13 purport, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I read, Mataji?
Please go ahead, Mataji.
Okay. The purport, Canto 2, Chapter 2. Text 13. The process of meditation recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam is not to fix one's attention on something impersonal or void. The meditation should concentrate on the person of the Supreme Godhead, either in his Virat Rup, the gigantic universal form, or in his Satchitananda Vigraha as described in the scriptures. There are authorized descriptions of Vishnu forms, and there are authorized representations of deities in the temples. Thus, one can practice meditating upon the deity, concentrating his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, and gradually rising higher and higher up to his smiling face. According to the Bhagavata school, the Lord's Rasa dancing is the smiling face of the Lord. Since it is recommended in this verse that one should gradually progress from the lotus feet up to the smiling face, we shall not jump at once to understand the Lord's pastimes in the Rasa dance. It is better to practice concentrating our attention by offering flowers and tulsi to the lotus feet of the Lord. In this way, we gradually become purified by the archana process. We dress the Lord, bathe him, etc., and all these transcendental activities help us purify our existence. When we reach the higher standard of purification, if we see the smiling face of the Lord or hear the Rasdams pastimes of the Lord, then we can relish his activities. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, the Rasa dance pastimes are delineated in the 10th canto, chapters 29 to 34. The more one concentrates on the transcendental form of the Lord, either on the lotus feet, the calves, the thighs, or the chest, the more one becomes purified. In this verse, it is clearly stated, the more the intelligence becomes purified, which means the more one becomes detached from sense gratification. Our intelligence in the present conditioned state of life is impure due to being engaged in sense gratification. The result of meditation on the transcendental form of the Lord will be manifested by one's detachment from sense gratification. Therefore, the ultimate purpose of meditation is purification of one's intelligence. Those who are too engrossed in sense gratification cannot be allowed to participate in archana or to touch the transcendental form of Radha, Krishna, or Vishnu deities. For them, it is better to meditate upon the gigantic Virat Rup of the Lord as recommended in the next verse. The impersonalists and the voidists are therefore recommended to meditate upon the universal form of the Lord, whereas the devotees are recommended to meditate on the deity worship in the temple. Because the impersonalists and the voidists are not sufficiently purified in their spiritual activities, archana is not meant for them. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It's such a wonderful verse. It just, again, everywhere, Sukadeva Goswami is reiterating all the time, saying that, first of all, know what is your position, and then start cleansing. Take off all the dust from your heart, from your soul. And just as from the mirror, if you have the dust, just take it off and then see your face. That is what exactly Sukadeva Goswami is asking, to see the Lord in your heart and start concentrating. So from the beginning, like this is the second canto is mostly trying to awaken us basically and tell us what is our normal position in this world. Why are we here? And we have to wake up to see where we belong to and what do we need so that we can go back to Godhead. That is what he's explaining in the simple terms. So what we understood over here is that people who do not approve of the form of the Lord, who are impersonalist, for them, that big, gigantic, universal, scary form, that's the form for them to concentrate on. Because that is like Ananta, you can't even see the beginning and the end. For them, it is still not, they are not really able to accept in their mind, So for impersonalist, this is the best to start off with. And then slowly this will bring a change by concentrating on the limbs of the Lord. It will bring a change in the way they see things, and the change in the heart and the change in the mind. And slowly, slowly they will start transforming. And then they can go towards the normal form of the Lord. So that is the like how we say, like even Srila Prabhupada and all, wherever we go, I think for example, we see lots of impersonalists or atheist while book distribution, or even while going on the road, people will not accept whatever you say. I think instead of we should always see that we are at two different levels. So when a person is at a different level, we need to do is come to the same level. So the other person to come up might be very difficult. So if you think you're on a higher level, we have to go down. So to speak to a child, we have to sit down. We have to kneel down to come to the same level. Then only the child will understand. Otherwise, it'll be looked down upon. It'll get very scared. The same way, any impersonalist or anybody who is not at your level, you need to go down to their level first, and then slowly bring it up. Because that is when then they will understand you. Otherwise, they will start, you're a different level, they're different level, and they're saying of something and you're saying of something. So this is how over here, Sukadeva Goswami tries to give you an idea as to how for them, they have to start at a different level. And for devotees, they need to start at a different level. So over here is asked that Sukadeva Goswami says that for them, Virat Rupa is the best thing to concentrate on. And for the devotees, Satchidananda Vigraha. And again, authorized forms, there are only some certain forms you need to concentrate on. And again, in the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada tries to say that don't jump into all the canto 10, because that is the nicest part of the whole Bhagavatam. And it is, so you have to go step by step, because you're not even qualified to go and read those things, because it is Krishna himself. You're going into, just like going into a bedroom of somebody, without even asking permission. So you have to know the person properly. So to go into the most confidential portions of the house. So, so we have, for people who are not yet rid of materialistic desires, so 4 regulative principles, you have to really, really concentrate on that. And so therefore you have to really start doing the sadhana. So sadhana, slowly doing more sadhana will bring you your bhakti. And once the bhakti starts developing, then we'll go to prema. So this is how we should start actually practicing first. And then again, Srila Prabhupada tries to say in the third paragraph that if really one concentrates, again, I'm repeating the same thing again, if they concentrate on the transcendental form of the Lord, imagine if you see any form of the Lord, any part of the Lord, it will bring a change in your heart. There is no doubt about it. I mean, that is the actual quality of the Lord, that it will bring out the change in you. And that's the whole reason why they're asking you to concentrate on the feet of the Lord. So what will happen then, once your mind starts changing, your intelligence starts changing, then you start becoming purified. So when you say purification, means all your anarthas are going. All your anarthas are going out. So in the fourth paragraph, very, very specifically, Srila Prabhupada says that you cannot touch the feet of the Lord, or you cannot touch any of these Radha Krishna Vishnu deities. You can't perform archana as long as you have a desire, sexual desire. Let's go to the next verse, please. Yavanna jayet paravarasmin Vishveshwara Drashtari Bhakti Yoga Tavat Savira Purushasya Rupam Kriyavasane Prayata Smarata. So unless the gross materialist develops a sense of loving service unto the Supreme Lord, who is the seer of both the transcendental and material worlds, he should remember or meditate upon the universal form of the Lord at the end of his prescribed duties. The same thing is again being repeated over here. So I want somebody to read the purport for me, please.
Hare Krishna, can I try, please?
Please, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Very much. Purport of text 14.
The Supreme Lord is the seer of all worlds, both material, transcendental. In other words, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate beneficiary and enjoyer of all worlds, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5:29. The spiritual world is the manifestation of his eternal potency, and the material world is the manifestation of his external potency. The living entities are also his marginal potency, and by their own choice, they can live either in the transcendental or material worlds. The material world is not fit to place living entities because they are spiritually one with the Lord. And in the material world, the living entities become conditioned by the laws of material world. The Lord wants all living entities who are his part and parcel to live with him in the transcendental world, and for enlightening conditioned soul in the material world, all the Vedas and the revealed scriptures are there expressly to recall the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. Unfortunately, the conditioned living entities, although suffering continually the threefold miseries of conditioned life, are not very serious about going back to Godhead. It is due to their misguided way of living, complicated by sins and virtues. Some of them who are virtuous by by deeds begin with re-establish the lost relation with the Lord, but they are unable to understand the personal feature of the Lord. The real purpose of life is to make contact with the Lord and by engage in his service. That is the natural position of living entities. But those who are impersonalist and are unable to render any loving service to the Lord have been advised to meditate upon his impersonal feature, the Virat Rupa, or universal form. Some way or other, one must try to re-establish one's forgotten relation with the Lord if one at all desires gain happiness in life and reclaim his natural, unfettered condition, condition. For the less intelligent beginners, meditation on the impersonal feature, the Virat Rupa or universal form of the Lord, will gradually qualify one to raise personal contact. One is advised herewith to meditate upon the Virat Rupa sacrifice specified in the previous chapters. In order to understand how the different planets, seas, mountains, rivers, birds, beasts, human beings, demigods are all that we conceive are but different parts of limbs of the Lord's Virat form. This sort of thinking is also type of meditation on the absolute truth. And as soon as much meditation begins, one develops one's godly qualities, and the whole world appears to be happy and peaceful. Residents of all the people and the world. Without such meditation on God, either personal or impersonal, all good qualities of the human being becomes covered with the misconceptions regarding his constitutional position, and without such advanced knowledge, the whole world becomes a hell for the human being. Such a wonderful explanation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji, very much. Thank you so much for reading, lovely.
Thank
So
you.
again, the same thing, but it's just like repeating, like the tape recorder. The same thing again, just to reminding us. And we always, first of all, our memory is so short. And the second thing is we're so engrossed in the materialistic world that we're enjoying so much that we've forgotten our home. You've come to a foreign world and you forgot to go back to your own house to see your village people or whatever like that, because you're enjoying so much of here that you forget that there are people over there. So the same way, like your parents are there, example, So this is like Krishna is over there. Krishna is saying, come back, come back. But where? Now I want to just hear and enjoy some more. That's what we think. And then we go on suffer and suffer and suffer. So basically, again, Sukadeva Goswami is trying to say like how Supreme World is Supreme Lord. He is obviously, he's the controller of the whole universe, materialistic universe and the spiritual universe. And the spiritual world is developed by his internal potency, and the materialistic world is by his external potency. And with the Jivatmas are from this marginal potency. So we have like a free will, like we can go this way or that way. So God has given you that much of independence over there. If you want to go to the materialistic world, yeah, go that side. If you want to go to the spiritual world, you have equal chance to go that side too. So that's where the marginal energy. So now what happens is the material world is not, we have to understand that this material world is not for us. Again, dukhalayam ashvasvatam. It is full of miseries and it is temporary. So everything over here is temporary. Your soul is also living here temporarily. You have to go back to Godhead. That is your permanent place. And that is what we have to keep on realizing, that once we realize that, then we should start making a path how to go to heaven. Go to heaven means, to say, go to back to Godhead. So why do we do that? Why do we not even understand? Is that because we become so conditioned over here? And why do we become conditioned? Because, see, it's the environment. The environment always influences you, whatever you do. So because you're living in this materialistic world, you're living in according to their rules and regulations, and your main path is all basically full of covered with weeds and all. You've got to take off all those weeds. So you have to follow the rules and regulations of this materialistic world where you're living. And because you're so engrossed in these things, you have no time to even remove the weeds. And then the path gets covered up, So how does the Lord help us, So people who really want to, if they awaken and they want to go back, so he's given us some scriptures also to so that we could read them and enlighten ourselves, and then so that we can go back to Godhead. Unfortunately, some of us are not very serious to go back to Godhead, because why? Either we're misguided by the way we live, or we are doing more sins, so we can't even get out of this life cycle. And whereas some people who are like, okay, they've found some path, they are trying to take off some of the weeds, but then they cannot find the proper path. So they try to, how to reestablish they want to reestablish the relationship with the God. But then what happens is they can't understand the personal feature of God. They've forgotten how God looks, or the form of the God, or what. They cannot really figure out as to what to do. Even though they know where they have to go, but they can't figure out the proper path. So again, Srila Prabhupada is trying to remind us that the natural position of us as a living entity is that we have to make contact with the Lord. And how can we do that? So the simplest way is by engaging in the Lord's service. By just engaging in the Lord's service. And the easiest to do thing is the Bhakti Yoga. That's the easiest way actually to go back to Godhead. The other yogas are really more time taking, and it takes, yes, I will be at, another 5 minutes, Mataji, I'm nearly done, 2 minutes. So the natural position of the living entity is we have to go back to Godhead to make contact, basically make a telephone call, or send a telegram, or whatever it is, that sort of a thing. So make that connection. It's like, you have not been in touch with a friend for long. How do we again get back into contact? So we have to find a way, and you can ask your friends, you have a number, you have this, you have that. So that's where you have to, because you have that earning first thing, really have to have the yearning to have to go back to Godhead, or you want to meet your friend. So you ask other people or nearby, how can you get a phone number? And once you get a phone number, then you start calling up. Once you call, then you have to talk. When you talk to the person, then you feel how much of happiness you feel. That's exactly, I can say in a shortest form, the way you feel when you go back to Godhead. So you have to have that connectivity. So again, over here, in Bhagavad Gita, in 5.29, again, it's the last verse, basically. It says, again, Lord Krishna, just again, there's a magic formula over there is, for peace is that you have to remember that Krishna is the beneficiary of all human activities. And you don't start thinking that I am the one, I am the Lord, I have done this, I have done that, I have accumulated wealth, so I am. So you can never be equal to Krishna, and he's the Lord of all the worlds. So just to realize that if you just accept that Krishna is the topmost person and then start serving for him, then things will get better for you. So Lord is not partial to anyone. He will not force anything, but it all depends upon he's given you free will, and everything depends upon your practice and your performance of your duties in Krishna consciousness. And so devotional service is the highest perfection of life. I think I'll end it off here because I think there is a bhajan also. So devotees, any corrections, any comments or any questions, please feel free. Another couple of minutes and then we can let the bhajan. That's okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I have a small question. You
Yes,
are
ma'am.
saying, when we go and talk to those different people, who are not Krishna conscious, and you come to their level, how do you do that? I would like to ask.
So yes. So basically, for me, for example, if I'll tell you about my experience, right?
Yeah.
So suppose I'm seeing a patient. Now I have to tell something about the news of their. So a patient has come here, and I have to go and speak to the family. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to tell about the patient to the family. So what I tend to ask is, what has been told to you so far? You start off with their level. So what is their level. So she will say, okay, so and so, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And that is when you start from there. Because when you start off at one level, they will get, oh, what is she saying? Oh my God, I can't understand. They'll start crying, or they will start getting angry, or because they cannot connect. So you have to go to their level first. So then they will tell you that this is what has been told. And then you start adding things in and giving more and more information. So we have to, when we go to the people who are not at our level, we have to go and see what level they are at first, to see what do they know about Krishna consciousness, or why do they think that Krishna is not the God, and what makes them think that. So go into their mind first and see how they think. And once you know how they think, then you can start. You should be able to read them, to see like, okay, this is what they're thinking, and your knowledge also should be a little bit vast so that you can try to think the way they think, and then go into their pattern of thinking, and so that they can accept it. Otherwise, we're always battling with each other, isn't it? We're different levels, like two people fighting with each other. It's difficult. So any level. So you can transform anybody, but depending upon how you meet them where.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
I hope I've been able
Quite
to.
good example of it. You are a doctor and you go to the patient's family and you find out about their situation, and then you help them. You know where they are. Yeah, you know where they are.
Otherwise it'll be too much information for them, too overwhelming for them.
Yeah.
And you can't give them too much information, because it'll be, first of all, they don't know much about the subject which you're talking about. And you have to talk to them in their language. So I talk to them like simple language, I don't talk to them in medical terms. I talk to them in the language they understand. First of all, I try to find out also what is their qualification, or what is their role, are they working, what sort of work they do. Then I can actually judge and see like at what level I should start off with. So if suppose like a simple person who's not educated comes, I start from the basics and make it as simple. And some people who know a little bit of knowledge, then I can explain to them in a different form. So everybody is unique. So nobody is same. We are not like cars or scooters or houses where you can have one is exact replica of another. Everybody's treatment is unique. Same thing, whether spiritually or psychologically or physically, anything, everybody is unique, Mataji.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mataji. I hope I've taken so much time, I think. Thank you, Mataji, for the question.
Very nice answer. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, all yours, Mataji. Sriji Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mamta Mataji, thank you so much for this nice class. You
Hare Krishna,
mentioned a
Mataji.
couple of times Krishna wants us back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada also wrote the magazine Back to Godhead. So that means that we were there before. We came from there itself. The debate last time we had didn't show that we were there before by the answers I gathered. But this is a point where going back home, back to Godhead. This is the point. So here you said it again and again, and Srila Prabhupada wrote, and in I'm not taking too much time, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18.63, Krishna is saying, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this, and then do what you wish to do. That means we were there, and we had this desire, we had this independence. At the end, again, it says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. That means abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from the old sinful reactions. Do not fear. That still means that we were there before. We don't come from anywhere else except from Golok Vrindavan. We are part and parcel of the Lord. That means that we were there before. I don't know, last time we didn't get this answer, so I was just clarifying this answer. When a couple of times you have said, go back to Godhead, go back to Godhead. Means what? Why go back? So Prabhupada also said, back to Godhead magazine. So Prabhupada said, let's go to Golok. He wouldn't say, let's go back. That means we were there before. That's anyway.
Yes,
thank you, Mataji.
we are part and parcels of Krishna, so
yes,
that is why we have to go back again. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mamta Mataji.
Hare
Madhavan
Krishna.
Pranam. Oh, glory to
Pranam.
So Prabhuji, sorry, Mataji, we have Shyam Prabhuji singing a beautiful bhajan, Bhajo Re Mana. But
Please.
before he sings, we have Devika who will be doing the English recitation. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over the ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For the fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserable men. What assurance of real happiness is there in one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine lotus feet of Lord Hare. It is the desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 processes of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense, and so forth, serving him as a friend, and completely offering the Lord one's very self. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nicely recited, Rita. Nicely recited. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I'll sing the bhajan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhajehu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindari. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindari. Durlabha Manava Janama Sat Sange Durlabha Manava जन्मा सत्संगे तरो होई बाबा सिंदूरे तारो होई बाबा सिंदूरे बजहु रे मना श्रीनंदनंदना अभय चरणार विंदरे सीता तप बाट बरीशना ए दिन जामिनी जागिरे विपल सेविनी कृपण दुराजना चपल सुकलभ लागिरे भजहु रे मना श्रीनंदनंदन अभय शरणर विंदरे ये धन यौवन पुत्र परिजना इति कियाचे पर तीतिरे कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल बजहु हरिपद नीतिरे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदना पाद सेवन दास्य रे पूजन सखी जना आत्मनिवेदना गोविंद दाशाबी लाशरे भजहु रे मना श्रीनंदनंदना अभय चरणार विंदरे हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण
Very nice, Prabhuji. Nice bhajan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mom.
So much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice recitations and nice bhajans. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Mamta Mataji. Very nice and the beautiful bhajan, Prabhuji.
Absolutely. And the recitations by all three girls.
Yes, very nice. So, if there are no other comments or questions,
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
shall
for
we
the
do
wonderful.
the,
Thank you, Mataji, for a very nice class.
shall we do the
Yeah, thank you,
Vanchakalpa
Mataji.
prayer, Mataji?
Yes,
Very
Mataji.
nice class, Mataji, and lovely bhajan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Mamta
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mamta
Lovely
Mataji.
class. Lovely class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.